What started as discussion quickly became destruction. I'm Ethan Blake, and this hearing proved again that when pride walks in, logic walks out.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to each of you for taking your time to be here today. Dr. Franks, we're here to talk about free speech, correct?
Yes.
And we're here to talk about that being a fundamental right guaranteed by the Constitution, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the Supreme Court plays an essential role in guaranteeing those constitutional rights, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about a tweet that you had in January 2024. The Supreme Court is a death panel. Is that your opinion?
In the context of this hearing, I think it is important to emphasize why I am here, which is to talk about my views on the First Amendment and my understanding of the doctrine.
That's not what I ask you. Do you think the Supreme Court is a death panel?
In the context of the cases that, not for free speech, no, that was not the context of that particular
Oh my goodness, okay. Well, it appears that you see the Supreme Court as a death panel, and that is some of the same rhetoric that unfortunately we continue to hear from some on the left who are trying to villainize justices who are doing their job. And I would like to just ask you, knowing that you have put this out, that the Supreme Court is a death panel, then let me ask you this. Do you look at Justices Sotomayor, Kagan, Jackson as members of the death panel, or is this just the justices that you disagree with?
I do not believe that the comments that you are referring to have relevance for this particular hearing, but here's what I will say. This is an administration that is threatening judges in addition to other people that he disagrees with. So, okay, yes, if your question is, do I defend judges? Am I worried about judges' security? I am. I am worried about this administration essentially threatening those judges.
I want to talk with you, Ms. Hemingway, about the State Department's use of the Global Engagement Center to censor news outlets like the Daily Wire and the Federalist. I know that this is something that you have had to deal with. And Daily Wire is located in Tennessee. We're proud of them. We are delighted that they chose to move from California over to Tennessee. And it is my understanding that the Global Engagement Center was created to counter messaging from bad actors, including terrorist groups, but the Biden administration weaponized it to silence conservative groups. And what has the censorship, I call it the censorship industrial complex, what do you think they're trying to hide when it targets outlets like the Federalist and the Daily Wire?
Thank you, Senator Blackburn. Yes, our reporter, Margot Cleveland, who's our senior legal writer, uncovered through her reporting facets of the censorship industrial complex and learned that the State Department was one of the federal entities that was engaging with non-governmental organizations and other entities in big tech to market, promote censorship tools and blacklists, which were then used against my publication, The Federalist, and also the Daily Wire. Publications that are a threat to the reigning orthodoxies are targeted by the censorship industrial complex. They want to exist without people pointing out their lies or the fact that there are really important debates. And so we are suing the State Department for that, and it is ongoing, this support of the censorship industrial complex. It is the bureaucracy, really, which perpetuates this even more than a particular administration.
Yes, and I think it's so important to note that robust, respectful, bipartisan debate adds to our freedom, helps to keep us free, and allows that debate in the public square. And when you have an entity that becomes weaponized and shuts down one side of that speech and only allows speech with which it completely agrees, that is when you have that censorship writ large. My time expires. Professor Turley, I have a question I will submit to you for the record. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for being with us today. I'd like to start with you, Ms. Hemingway.
This wasn't a hearing. This was an ideological ambush. And the prey, Dr. Franks, walked right into the kill zone completely unaware that she was about to be dissected live on national television. Senator Marsha Blackburn didn't just bring questions, she brought receipts and she came to cash them in. Watch the masterful way she sets the trap. It's a work of art. She starts with a soft touch of velvet glove. We're here to talk about free speech, correct? Yes. A fundamental right, correct? Yes. The Supreme Court plays an essential role. Correct? Yes. With each yes, the witness digs her own grave a little deeper. She establishes herself as a reasonable academic, a defender of constitutional principles. She feels safe. She feels comfortable. I could almost feel her relax, thinking this would be a friendly chat. That was her first and fatal mistake, because then Marsha Blackburn removes the velvet glove, revealing an iron fist. She pulls out the tweet. That single damning piece of evidence that obliterates the witness's entire credibility. The Supreme Court is a death panel. The mask didn't just slip, it was ripped clean off. The room's atmosphere changed in a heartbeat. Dr. Franks, the supposed champion of free speech, is exposed as just another radical leftist activist who uses the most vile, inflammatory, and dangerous rhetoric imaginable to attack the very institution tasked with protecting our rights. I felt a surge of pure cold anger. A death panel? This is the language used to dehumanize, to delegitimize, to incite. This isn't academic discourse. This is the language of the gutter aimed at the highest court in the land. And watch the squirm. Oh, the beautiful, pathetic squirm. Blackburn asks her a direct question. Do you think the Supreme Court is a death panel? And the witness, caught red-handed, immediately tries to pivot. In the context of this hearing, Blackburn cuts her off with the brutal efficiency of a surgeon. No, that's not what I asked you. That phrase, no. It was a verbal fusillade that shot down the witness's pathetic attempt at evasion. It was the voice of every American who is sick and tired of the lies, the spin, and the refusal of the left to answer a straight question. Trapped, Franks does what every cornered leftist does. She invokes Donald Trump. She tries to deflect by talking about his rhetoric, his supposed threats. It's a desperate, cowardly whataboutism that reeks of intellectual bankruptcy. And Blackburn brilliantly doesn't even take the bait. She simply moves on, having already proven her point. The witness is a hypocrite. Her testimony is worthless. She doesn't believe in protecting free speech. She believes in protecting her speech while demonizing anyone who disagrees. But Blackburn wasn't done. She didn't just come to expose one hypocrite. She came to expose the entire rotten machine. She masterfully pivots to a true warrior for free speech, Molly Hemingway, and this is where the hearing went from a personal takedown to a full-blown indictment of the Biden administration's war on dissent. Blackburn lays it out. The Global Engagement Center, a State Department entity created to fight foreign terrorists, was weaponized by the Biden regime to silence American conservatives. My blood boils at the thought of it. They are using anti-terror tools, paid for by our tax dollars, against their fellow citizens. They put conservative outlets like the Daily Wire, a Tennessee treasure that fled the tyranny of California, and the Federalist on the same level as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. This isn't just an overreach. This is treasonous behavior. It is the action of a totalitarian state, not a free republic. Molly Hemingway, with the calm authority of a journalist who has seen the belly of the beast, confirms it all. She describes the censorship industrial complex, this unholy alliance of deep state bureaucrats, so-called non-governmental organizations, and big tech. Their goal? To create censorship tools and blacklists. Let that sink in. The United States government is funding the creation of blacklists to be used against American journalists. This is something you'd expect to read about in a history book on the Soviet Union, not something happening in America in 2024. Why do they do it? Hemingway gives the chilling answer. Publications that are a threat to the reigning orthodoxies are targeted. They are terrified of the truth. They are terrified of debate. They want to create an information monopoly where their lies go unchallenged. They want to exist in an echo chamber where no one can point out their failures, their corruption, or their anti-American agenda. The lawsuit the Federalist has filed against the State Department isn't just a lawsuit, it's a counter-offensive in a war for the future of free information in this country. Marsha Blackburn ties it all together with a powerful closing statement. She speaks of robust, respectful, bipartisan debate. That is what we on the right want. We welcome the fight of ideas. It is the left, embodied by Dr. Franks and enabled by the Biden administration, that is terrified of it. They don't want to win the debate. They want to shut it down. They want to censor, to blacklist, and to silence. What we saw today was a tale of two Americas. One, represented by a hypocritical academic that sees our institutions as death panels and seeks to silence its opponents. And the other, represented by Senator Blackburn and Molly Hemingway, that is fighting tooth and nail in the trenches to protect our God-given right to speak freely. This is the fight of our lifetime. And today, the forces of freedom landed a devastating blow.